Over on that one.
The hell?
Bill, want to hop in that 4 shot and stay there the whole show and talk to us?
Yeah. No, no what? I don't know what you guys.
Test. Testing one.
Oh, gross.
You ever had Sprite with when you brush your teeth?
No, but I had Sprite with Thin Mints, similar.
You know those scenes in movies, in like World War movies, where it's like something blows up, it's like, like shell shock.
Yeah,
that's what that's like.
These Sprites are here though, because at the game, these are not like just casual sipping drinks.
Oh, okay.
These Sprites are here because at the end we're gonna do a game.
That's what I figured.
Oh,
And the Sprites are included.
Yeah, they seem like they're part of the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely are.
Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Oh. Welcome to Punchie TV.
Welcome to Punchie TV with your hosts.
Welcome to Punchie TV. I am Punch with your host, Punchy, from JesseLeePeterson.com show. Oh, Joe Ep05, the host of the... What am I saying about you? The American Anchor Baby. The host of the American Anchor Baby show. James Hake, a host of the Hake Report. Welcome to Punchie TV. Punchy.
Blair White. I don't know if you guys. Well, you guys know what Blair White is.
I haven't heard of her in some. Her what?
Yeah, that's how I have to introduce. The
I
whole
know
thing.
of this person from the fallen state.
Yeah, Blair White. Yeah, that's right. She was on. I was trying to figure out how there was a correlation between her and Jesse, but I know there was.
Yeah.
And I guess it's the fallen state. Yeah. Okay. Well, Blair White,
Which is a supposedly conservative
transgender.
This
She's
person.
born a boy and transitioned into Blair White. I think her boy name was Robert. I know that for sure.
dead
right.
named,
And
doxed.
then she
That's
says
illegal,
it though.
man.
She says it herself in the clip.
Oh, okay.
And then, but not the clips we're playing here.
You're
so
gonna be
I guess it's
extradited to
doxed.
the UK.
I know. But she transitioned to. I have to say. I'm just gonna say she.
This is throwing
Wait,
me
I-
off.
And
It is.
the Blair White.
I kicked off the domino effect of chaos.
But I have it here to know that she. I just had to. I'm just gonna leave it.
He's
she.
doing the she
Ignore
stuff.
it. Ignore it.
Following journalistic standards of present day liberal,
Well, Blair
Wait
White.
a second.
far left extremist Joel Friday.
Are you capitalizing black too?
Now I'm gonna doubt myself right when I'm reading it. No.
Dude, it just came out. Like I could.
Blair White sits down with celebrity therapist David Sutcliffe, if I'm saying that right, and talks about childhood trauma, her upbringing, how she became transgender, etc. And this is the first clip from YouTube. This is from Blair White's YouTube channel. David asks Blair if she's angry because of how she grew up.
Maybe it's Sutcliffe. Maybe not sure.
It could be Sutcliffe.
So, are you angry at all about? I mean, I guess your mom, maybe your mom, but your dad, he was abusive, and
Him, I don't have any grace for. I don't really know.
why?
Just because of the specific type of monster he was.
You
I don't
don't
really
forgive
know.
him.
No.
Yeah.
No. And I also don't relate to the people who are like, forgiving's about you. It's like, is it? I mean, people say it, so maybe you really feel that way, but
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
You know, I'm more interested in healing whatever damage he did.
Right.
Which to me, that's making it about me. That's prioritizing myself.
Yeah.
I don't need to just say some mantra of like, I forgive him because it's about him and not me.
Right.
That's weird to me.
Have you, well, I guess you haven't done a lot of therapy, so you don't really know, but I don't know if you intuit, like, what was the meaning you made of that? Like the child? Like he let you down.
Oh, for sure. Worse than that, you know,
Worse
just
than
like
that.
failure, flop, monster, evil. But, you know, a lot of the actions on his part were actually buried deep down in my psyche. So they didn't start coming up until about 29, 30. So in one way, I didn't make any sense of it. But then also, what's really fascinating about that is like my body always knew that he was like a demon. Like, not in the literal sense, but you know, bad for me to be around, dark, like I said. Because I remember, you know, the only real memories I have of him are always hating him, but not knowing why.
You always hated him.
This person, Mr. White.
This person.
What's the preferred mixed or Mrs. Mr. Whatever.
Dude.
This white became a monster.
Yeah.
Like that's what I see, and it's funny how, like you can see that it's like a girly person reacting in this person's, because I don't want to say his because it sounds
right
for the sake of the channel especially.
Right.
But in this person's body, like the girly-esque way of presenting and presenting that attitude towards the father is the monster that he's hating.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. That head shaking way of talking.
And I don't really doubt too that he felt that as a kid.
I'm sure.
With the father.
Felt what? What do you mean?
That this person's evil.
Yeah.
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 I mean, I don't know, but I'm not doubting the story. But
yeah.
I don't even know
this
what
person
happened.
can't really. Yeah, I don't either. But this person can't see himself.
Well, you know that head shaking attitude you're talking about. Just to add to it, I mean, this person said a statement that's like true, but you could just head shake it away. For example, forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for you. But if you just say it with a head shaking attitude, then it makes it not true. It's like the truest thing you said. It's as true as heck.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that she said when she was younger. I just had to say she. It's too hard to try to say
it's training
itself.
Blair.
But I noticed that what she was feeling when she was younger as a boy was just her feelings telling her this man is evil, this man is bad. And she mentions in this clip that she doesn't recognize that it's a demon, or she sees that it's a demon, but she can't fully recognize it. But I thought it was interesting because it always starts with how the father misses the mark. And as soon as you hate the father, she had nothing bad to say about her mother in this first clip, but the second one is like demon, whatever she said. She said demon, evil, monster, and she has no forgiveness for him. And I feel like that's like the start of where.
No, that's evident. You can see that. You can see maybe if you didn't know this person was a transgender person, maybe you wouldn't. But you know, they're coming out the latest models, or they got them tweaks where you can't tell maybe, but coming off the factory presses. Anyways, we get it. But bringing it's evident. You know, you can see that. Yeah, I could tell you haven't forgiven.
Yeah, and it's like that lack of grace. Didn't this person even say, I don't have any grace for, or no mercy or whatever?
No grace.
No grace or no mercy.
For my father, I have no grace.
And that makes me not want to hang around that person.
Yeah.
Like that's more off-putting even than the bodily issue. That spirit coming out of that person makes it hard. Like that's a person I want to avoid or keep at arm's length at least.
Well, when she said the body thing, I thought it was interesting because it's like it's not her fully understanding why she should hate him. It's her feelings in her body, which is like the emotions and the ego saying that you should hate this person, just the anger. And she's identifying with that. So that's what I thought that was interesting. Because she says, I don't know why I hate him, but my body knew to hate him. But it's like she's just listening to her feelings opposed to actually being the reality. But she goes into why she became transgender, and then she also talks about she mentioned something that most of the LGBT, isn't that what's called LGBTQ? What do they got? It's Q plus
LGBTQIA plus.
Oh, that community. She said something that they're usually quick to deny. So I thought this was interesting. This is clip 2.
When I figured out the trans thing, and by figured out I mean like looked within, made the decision, was comfortable with it, went on, I was like, okay, well then there's nothing else wrong with me. That was the thing that was always wrong with me. Clearly, because that's such a big thing. No one even goes through that shit, especially back then. Now everyone wants to. But you know, when I transitioned, no one even, I never knew anyone like that. Never really heard of it. So I was like, okay, then that's my big problem in life. You know, I'll move on now.
Right, it's solved.
Yeah, now I see that like, that was probably a trauma response. Me being trans is probably a trauma response.
That's interesting.
And it's not politically correct to say, don't care. That's not, you know, within the realm of what people think is acceptable to say. And some of their reasoning for that, I understand. I don't think that that is the case for every person who is trans. I don't think that's the case for every LGBT person. And it may not be the full explanation for why I'm trans in myself, but to deny that it's part of the equation, I just think is ignorant in my own case.
Right. When did you come to that realization that it was, at least some aspect of it was a trauma response?
Like in the last year or so, like I started really thinking about it, and I'm like, you know, really interesting how I escaped my hometown, escaped my family, moved away, changed my name, changed my physical appearance in just about every way I possibly could. I mean, I look nothing like I look. It's actually scary how different I look, like a shapeshifter type stuff. And I don't think that's normal, like, and even less normal than like a regular abnormal sense, because like abnormal is like not good or bad, it just deviates from normal. But for me, I was like, no, there was like something unspoken about that I'm not admitting to myself. Like, was that me running away from my past? And I think in part, for sure.
Right.
Deep.
Yeah. So what I liked about that is that she's doing her, at least she's being honest, right? At least she's recognizing that, wait, hold on, this is kind of weird. And a lot of people, I mean, maybe there's transgenders out there that do admit it or they are honest, but the fact that the acknowledgement of this is all part of a trauma, this whole escape thing, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that was the first thing I thought of when I saw this person talking about his hatred for his dad, and how like his body rejected the dad and hated the dad and all this monster stuff. Not only did he become a monster, but he also like completely rejected the masculine body that he was born in.
Yeah.
And became, just tried to completely get away from it. Yeah. But I noticed that transgenders tend to be more conservative. I feel like I've heard this somewhere.
It's because they're men. I mean, what?
Yeah, right. Like he didn't really reject that little bit of common sense that makes you a little bit more conservative.
Yeah.
Because what conservatives,
Bruce,
more manly,
Jenner.
more into, I guess, so, at least somewhat into reality, right?
Yeah.
And there's that dissonance with reality itself that you got to contend with. And I've heard Blair kind of allude to similar things kind of for years now, not to this level, but about, there's something funny about me even doing this.
Yep.
And, you know, I've honestly, this person, Blair's describing what, you know, people would ask. I think I heard somewhere in the clip something about, that it was tougher to go through this transition back then. It wasn't popular like it is now. But I mean, nobody wants to be a drug addict. Nobody.
That's like bragging.
It's a little bit of bragging.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of bragging, and which hides the reality that's how nobody wants to be an alcoholic. Nobody wakes up and wants to be any of these things.
Look at me. I was the first alcoholic.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
But no, that's interesting. It's interesting that there is a responsibility of like, because I don't know if this even I don't know if there's like a purpose, and I'll see what you guys think, but I don't know if there's like an on purpose denial of being transgender or an acceptance that a lot of people do, transgenders, or even people who drink or whatever, or if this is just like a blind thing. Like they're just blind to the fact that, okay.
It's a sexual thing, man.
Like I'm born this way. Yeah.
No, it starts off as like a perverted kind of thing. Like some kid wears high heels and it gets him off a bit. Like seriously, like that. I'm sorry, being gross. And then it becomes like that excitement is something you keep coming back to.
Yeah, like a pleasure.
And it becomes your identity.
It just grows out of control.
It just grows out of control. And of course that only happens with, you gotta have that something weird at home, whereas mama's too into it, or you're just something, right? Just too much mama, something there that kind of kicks it off.
It's interesting because JLP years ago interviewed Walt Heyer, who transitioned and then detransitioned. In his case, his grandmother or somebody dressed him up in dresses as a little kid, and so he was groomed that way. Oh, I shouldn't say the G word.
Bleep.
Sorry,
sorry,
YouTube. I'm just kidding.
Watch on Punchy. Unbleeped on Punchy.tv.
He said that it's not sexual, that it's an identity.
That's what this Walter person said?
Yeah, he said that the transgender is not sexual, it's an identity.
That may even be a judgment from me just looking at it from the outside.
Probably
it's sexual,
for some of them it is, but it's also.
But I was trying to express,
But it's also a, these false identities. Oh, I'm a woman, or oh, I'm a man. Oh, I'm a black. Oh, I'm a punk, or whatever. It's also kind of that, where it's like this, the spirit of the mama and all that stuff, and you get all into being girly or manish or UFC, whatever you're into, it becomes your identity. So it's also that. Yeah,
I think society there's some kind of schism. There's like these maybe more grassroots. I'm making stuff up. Now this is confusing, but grassroots transgender that doesn't have to do with sex. And then I'm talking about like the street prostitutes.
Right.
But that spirit exists. Like I'm thinking of the drag queen. I'm thinking of Rocky Horror Picture Show. Like these are people who were able to like break into the mainstream, but their world is sordid. It's a dirty, dirty world.
Sex does touch people's identity, though. I talked on my show today about people who have sex, and then they break up with that person. They can sometimes become violent, and that is because like you're losing something that's super close to what you think that you want.
Well, then it's like
in life,
it's almost like what you're saying is the emotions, which oftentimes come by
identity.
way of sex. It like attaches itself onto the identity to make it more important or a big deal. So then when someone tells you that you're not that, you already have all your feelings and everything banked on the idea that I'm transgender.
They use that against you. Like all the LGBT. Oh, you want to hate me for who I am.
Yeah.
Whether they're gay or whether they think it's their sexuality, or their gender, so-called gender, misidentity.
It's interesting because what I got from it is that like the kids come out like everyone comes out born lost, right? They don't know, like nobody knows what they're getting into when they're born. And then say if the parents had done crazy things beforehand, like on drugs or at a wedlock, it has these like spiritual effects that we've observed, right? And these kids are born messed up. They're already kind of messed up, and then the parents are supposed to guide them into at least a decent way so they know like you're a boy or you're a girl, and have like the basics, like like how you learn in school, the basics of certain things. But then they don't. But then in her situation, that's why I kind of understand what she's talking about, because in her situation, I don't know her dad or anything, but if the dad comes in and he's a bad example, horrible example, and either judges her for saying whatever or being whatever, and then the mom is so loving and accepting, and then it's like it's okay, and then there's just like this thing that only drives Blair to want to be identified with the false love and then reject the dad.
Yeah.
And I found that anytime when anybody rejects the father, it always seems like the destruction happens. They reject like the light of God, period. And that's what it seems like she's doing. And Blair is saying that she's not even willing to forgive.
Right.
Yeah, like you're like, that's it. Done. I don't want nothing to do with them. I'm over it. So I found that interesting how with the father is not involved, it just seems to be a mess.
I don't even think that they're really full-blown lost when they're first born. They might be a little bit, but they get even further lost. Even if they're not lost, they get further lost because of the situation of the dad being kind of beta and angry or whatever. Yeah. Maybe a quote-unquote monster. Maybe a monster in some level.
Yeah.
I guess because we all are, right? And then the mother's hating the father like that. And then Blair became like the mother.
The mother, yeah.
There was something Blair said, right, that kind of indicated that.
Yeah.
That Blair was maybe seeing his father like the mother. But, you know, it's weird how it's the father thing that, at least in this case, very clearly is like the thing. Blair's saying, I'm working on myself. I'm even thinking I might be traumatized doing all this trans stuff.
Yeah.
But my father, And it's like the one thing in the way. That's why you went super female. That's
exactly. And the thing is that Blair, Steve, it's like enjoying blaming, though. It's like still wanting to be a victim. Because if you think about like saying that I don't want to forgive, that my father's a demon, that he's a bad person, I have no grace for him, it almost feels good to make that person hurt because they've hurt you. So it still feels like, to me, like a victim thing that Blair is still playing.
That's way more dangerous than anything. I don't know if I'm like a Christian or something, but I'm offended more of that than the transgender thing. This person's outwardly saying, I'm okay with hating, and if I say it sassy, then you could just, then this guy interviewing is just going to be like, oh, I understand.
Yeah.
This person saying it's okay to hate. That's crazy. Yeah. That's like the worst thing you do.
But that's basically
that's the demon part. Yeah. That's more demonic than the transgender, for sure.
You know.
Because you were effeminate at a...
Yeah.
Right out of the gate.
Oh, yeah. I was there.
You were there.
Basically out the womb. That's what my parents said.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. And how did your parents respond to that?
Well, it was bizarre. Like, my mom was totally fine with it. And then my dad, he was, a really bad person, a really dark, damaged person that passed a lot of his darkness into me.
Was that just in his energy, or was he acting out on that?
Actions.
He was abusive physically?
Yeah, I don't want to necessarily say exactly what form of abuse, but the kind that will give you trauma. Right. For sure. And maybe come up in repressed memories when you're 30, which I learned is actually very common.
Repressed memories?
Well, that it can happen that late.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah, I never knew that, I had like a narrative once I escaped my hometown and my family.
Escaped, yeah.
Yeah. I had a narrative that once I escaped, I was good. I didn't have any problems, I'm the first entrepreneur in my family. I'm the first self-made person. I'm the first person to move out of my hometown, really, or little area at least, and to break a lot of the curses that they had, like in patterns. Yeah. So I had this narrative in my head that I'm good. I'm the only good one in my family. Right. And in some ways I am, but there's a lot of damage that I'm realizing is there, so now I'm fixing it.
Interesting.
So there's a little bit of accountability there, even though like there's blatant hatred for the father, like forever, she says, like she'll never forgive. But there's accountability that she recognizes that the same demonic forces in her dad are in.
That this thing's bugging. Like standing right in front of you.
The same demonic forces that were in her dad are in her, or in Blair. So there's admittance there. So I thought that was interesting, but...
Wait, so White admitted to having the same darkness? Oh, yeah, because the dad... He says the dad put it in him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
White says the dad put it in white.
Yeah. And
which Mr. White or Mr.
White.
White or Mr.
Hey, White.
anytime anybody says she or stumbles on it, you gotta take a drink. Take a shot.
This is cold. This is
Sprite.
soda water.
This is lean.
Soda
this
water.
is full on lean here on Punchie
Sugary
TV.
soda water.
Yeah. What do you guys think about it?
I just don't. This is why I wish people well, mostly because I can't really tell. I just wish them well, and I sincerely like Blair, like figure it out, like. But I just can't tell because I noticed that you can stay a whole lifetime like this, and people can know that something's wrong, and so I'm just still figuring it out, and you can just stay like that your whole life. But what does that mean? That means that whole time while you're figuring it out, you're a hateful person. So, and not to judge, wishing you well, I just can't tell. I just can't tell. I sense the hate, the anger, and it's interesting, this whole 29 and 30-year-old thing where something comes up. Blair called it repressed memories. What happens? So you get to 30 and you're like, oh, I just remember how evil my father was. No, it's like you get to 29 and 30, and what's happening is like, oh dang, I got issues. I'm an addict, or you know what I mean. You get,
person. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what people mean by some things that come up at 29, 30 that you didn't deal with. You're talking about it comes out physically. Usually, I'm just judging at this point, but so you know what I mean. Like it's not just like you were sitting there going like, I just remember how bad my father is. No, you realize how messed up you are.
So you're saying you don't think that you can't tell if it's genuine or not, or this is if she really is reflecting or whatever.
I mean, I'd say there's some, at least from just my instinct from what I'm seeing, but I'd stay away from making such conclusions. So. Unless I guess it's like this person just said the truth. I stay away from making such conclusions, especially if this person's still saying, I don't know, I still think I'm good, and this person was so evil. I don't think Blair's lying though. That they experienced some anger and that it came into them.
I don't know. I think that there's like a genuine, and I could be wrong too. Maybe I'm missing it, and maybe. That's not the case, but it seems as if there's like a genuine pursuit at Blair trying to make sense of what's going on in the life, because obviously there's conflict that she's dealing within. Now I'm scarred because you guys, I had to say, but that she's dealing within because there's no way that everything is fine. You have this person born male and then transition to a female, body parts, whatever, I don't know, but born a male. So there's conflict within that physically, not spiritually, but physically that's happening. That's probably confusing. And then there's spiritual things that are conflict because she has all this trauma, this hate, this anger, this all this stuff. So she's really all messed up and she's trying to figure out what's going on. It just doesn't surprise me that she may just being a little bit more honest than the average transgender would, if that makes sense.
Take off the breasts.
In general, I mean, this person.
Prove it. No, that's just.
I know. Let's see if you're really genuine.
I'm being like a demon with that, but I'm trying to make a joke too.
Good. I know. I'm traumatized because
like no one's asking me to prove it, right? So
because Elijah, slightly offensive, did this show with this person, White.
Blair? Yeah.
And it was all about not showing the parts. How can Elijah not show his parts?
It was like tips on how to tucking tips.
Yes.
Tucker Carlson tips.
Anyway, the father's not the only one who put the demon in the darkness in him. This little boy turned girly almost out of the womb, according to his parents.
Yeah.
And that's the mother's darkness. And it sounds like the father may have overreacted to the girliness, right? Because fathers don't like girliness, and some mothers don't either.
Yeah.
In their little boys, and so he just didn't know how to react, and so he looks like the bad guy when the mother's the bad guy.
Well, there's also a lot of hidden stuff that comes from the mother. It's not talked about or acknowledged in the mother because she she has the role of being accepting and loving and nice, but there's a lot of parts that she played too. But you know, I have to take Blair at his word, her word, whatever we're saying, because of the fact that I've experienced personally that my mom, my parents, you know, they have their issues too, but I definitely seen a lot of the issues that affected me came from my dad's side. So I can understand.
Your dad's side meaning your dad?
Father, yeah. So I can understand, like, as far as, like, fear and, like, the monster thing, like, I relate to that because when you're a kid and you see an adult overreact, in your mind, you just think scary, monster. And I don't know what happened to this person, but when that happened, that's what now Blair's identifying with. He's a monster, he's a demon, and he could have done like crazy things. People do crazy things. But it doesn't take away from the fact the mother is not being talked about, and that's suspicious to me as well. Why is the mother not being talked about? She couldn't have been perfect because why she stay around the father the whole time?
And why was she the mother so accepting of girly little Robert baby?
Which the father didn't like. Furthering the rift, furthering the problems.
That's why Jesse says that the fathers beat their children is because the children took on the identity and the side of the mother.
Yo, why is it always like? Look, I only have anecdotal evidence. Okay, I don't have
which only makes sense. Really.
I don't have like data, but it seems like, yeah, fathers can do nasty things. But anytime I've gotten privy to more information what this person is going through, it's always something like you can kind of not understand, but you can see how the father got there, and yet from the mother it's pure hell. Like it's just like there's no explanation. You're just being evil. And I hear a story of a beating father or something like that beats their kid. When I get more details, it's always like, oh, but the father was overreacting to something. Oh, the father had and then the mother was just hateful.
I think it has to go both ways. I don't think that the mother is, the hell is in both. The mother, I don't think that she wakes up and is just like, I'm just pure evil. Like, that's what it seems.
Let's take the Blair thing. What reason did the mother have to go against the father and be like, oh, that's a girly, it's just born girly and all that? Well, the father was just overreacting.
Well, but then we can't make excuses for the father and not make excuse for the mother is what I'm saying. It's like, why is the mother that way? She's controlled.
I'm not God.
Wait, who made excuses for the father?
I'm not excusing.
What was he saying? He said that he's saying that with the father, there's, as he gets to know, there's a reason why the father started behaving wrongly. There's something to understand, but he's saying, but the mother, she's just pure hell. I'm not like that.
I'm sorry. It doesn't add up to me very well, but it's just something I noticed.
Though, because the mother's always like appeasing of evil. Right, appeasing of evil.
Meanwhile, the father's just like trying to do good, but it's coming out wrong.
Because the mother has the spirit of Satan.
Right, but so does the father, though. But see, the thing is that.
But that's the reason. There's a reason why the mother's like that.
Maybe in a shallow way,
but they all come from this. But they're all coming. My point is that they're all coming from Satan.
And always the kids that are always like, man, my dad was a monster. When I get some more details, it turns out the dad wasn't a monster. He was just overreacting, and the kid full on was acting like the mom. Was like, man, he's was the voice and the spirit, everything coming out of that person. I could eventually piece it together. I'm like, that you're acting like your mom. You're acting like your mom right now.
Yeah, and that's true.
I only have anecdotal evidence, I guess.
Yeah,
blah blah.
The child who complains about the father complains about it in a girly,
always
sounding like the mother type of a way. Like how you would imagine that the mother would sound. That's how the kid sounds. That's crazy. The son or whatever.
Well, there's another clip here where it's gonna make it even worse for Blair. But there's another clip here where Blair talks about what she said to her father that actually came true.
And in fact, the last thing I ever said to him, this is gonna sound crazy, is I hope you get cancer and die, you I was like 17. Or 18. And it was triggered by him asking me to take the trash out. And I just said that from the top of the stairs, and he looked at me with basically acknowledged that he deserved it. Like he didn't even fight back, which was interesting.
He knew.
I think, I believe. And then this is actually the crazy part. 2 weeks later, he got cancer and died. Out of nowhere, full body cancer. So I don't know what that means, but I said that to say that I never had a logical, concrete reason as a kid to hate him, but I always knew I did.
Well, you had logical, concrete reasons to hate him. Did you not?
But the repressed memories, I didn't actually growing up remember what he had done to me specifically, and it's a very specific thing he did. So I just always still felt the energy of what that action was, and it made me hate him forever. And he was very deserving of it. So
you're becoming aware that that's inside you, the impact of that, and it's unresolved, and it's having an impact on your life today. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's had a huge impact now that I have more clarity on the entirety of my life. Oh, that's why I do that. That's why my brain works like that. That's why I have this view of this thing that is whatever,
Yeah. Is it in you? Do you think there's it's in you, that darkness?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get a little angry. Online, like my tone of voice sometimes will be very angry, which is passion and which is fire, but also is anger.
You ever seen the Power? Him from Powerpuff Girls? You remember that villain from the Powerpuff Girls? He's like red and like it's a male, but with girly, frilly stuff. And he's like,
yeah.
I'm so convinced that's how the devil really is.
Yeah.
Blair's like, and I said it from the top of the stairs. And I saw get cancer and die. That little that's how Satan is, man. I'm telling you, Satan's transgender.
Isn't that insane that Blair says this 2 weeks later that the dad dies of actual cancer, which is insane. But
no wonder you're transgender.
It's clear, I know, and it's clear that Blair still has a wickedness. So you also can't feel sorry because it's like, okay, you like really hate your father, and there's something in everybody that knows, okay, like this is hate, this is not right. But yeah, she still uses language as like forever, he deserved it, and that kind of stuff. Like you're saying, you don't really want to be around. But there's also a side that is acknowledging that, well, that demon I saw in him is also in me. So that's why that was pretty interesting, though, at the same time.
Yeah. I wonder where he thinks his dad got it. Does he ever talk about his mother? Because other than just that she was accepting of
the whole interview, it's not talked about. Mama is not even in the conversation.
Yeah. Accepting of that being effeminate and all that.
Yeah. It's all hatred on that. But see, that's the point I was trying to make, too.
Was there any questioning of that? I wonder.
I mean, Blair said
not in the whole interview. I watched the whole thing.
Blair said it himself. He's like, I kind of see that it was a trauma response. So your mother supported your trauma response. Are you connecting the dots yet?
Not connecting it.
And this is why it's not about condemning or about trusting them or not. It's just wishing you well, and then just protecting myself from anger, because seems to kind of like me. Like, I told him to get cancer and die. Yeah. That person will do the same to you. So I'm just saying, wishing you well, Blair. And I think there's some reflection going on, and just I guess stay with it. I guess I hope. I don't know.
Figure it out. Yeah, it was an interesting episode, but I don't know if you guys have any last comments on that situation.
Was that at Blair's house or
I don't know,
Blair's studio or something?
I don't know. I'm not too sure. But I never heard of this guy. You ever heard of this guy?
Yeah, Scott Adams mentioned him. He's
just a regular white guy.
My bad.
Scott Adams mentioned him because he interviewed that guy who's tough and a kickboxer and stuff.
He did?
Andrew Tate a couple of times.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I listened to one of his Andrew Tate interviews.
And he interviewed Pearl. It was a little bit awkward. I seen it just a couple minutes. Yeah, because he's real, like, his style of interviewing is real, like he makes some good points sometimes, but it's real, like, hippie.
He's a psychotherapist.
Like, in your face, and like he's real, just like cloudy, and it's kind of like uncomfortable. And Pearl is more like, she's still
straight up. She's more manly.
Women don't.
She's just kind of like
women don't deserve the vote.
Yeah. So she
Your
was
wife
kind of
is
yeah,
yours.
and then she's also more guarded, whereas he's more open.
Which I was surprised she even went on his show. It was his podcast. So
I'm not too surprised because he's had some interesting interviews, like at the Andrew Tate one anyway. And he is sort of like almost girly. Almost girly open. But it was an interesting conversation with Andrew Tate.
I didn't hear that.
And I've never really listened to Andrew Tate, so that's the only time I've ever really listened to what Andrew Tate is like. But interesting, yeah, because she's sort of manly, mannish, masculine and logical and hard. But she's also, there's something that's sort of protecting herself from being quote unquote vulnerable or open.
Yeah, like he would say, like, well, how does that make you feel? Stuff like that, right? And she would be like, I felt fine. She was like, tolerant to that type of energy. I don't know. It was interesting.
But that's psychotherapy, is what he does.
Psychotherapy apparently is you do have a reason to be angry. He says.
Oh,
you heard that part, right?
Yeah.
He hit her with the, but you do have legitimate reasons to be angry or whatever. Oh, okay. This is what you get with psychotherapy.
Yeah, I wanted him to be on the Fallen State.
Just kidding, man.
He wouldn't
come on the Fallen State.
He tried it. He didn't work.
No. I suggested. I don't know if Daniel's followed up at all.
That would be interesting to see. What do you think of Andrew Tate, though?
I think he's right.
Inspector?
Yeah, I think he's cool. I like him.
Yeah, I think he's pretty smart. He's pretty smart. He does have that effeminate thing, in my opinion. Like, he does do the over-sexualized,
right?
Manly, man's man type of vibe, but he's a smart guy.
Right, like I say cool as in like, he's like, he produces, he's a professional, and so many of the things they say about him are lies, like, oh, you're just using these women who seem to be in, they were made millionaires through that. Yeah. Right, so that's
two-sided.
But then we can totally talk about like, that's just that stuff. But these red pill guys, they care about getting.
Yeah. No, basically. Sorry.
I don't even know what that means.
I'll bleep it. But in other news, you guys heard about Andrew Zuckerberg?
Oh,
Andrew Zuckerberg.
That is the chimera of
some Jewish name, Christian Jewish name.
Well, Mark Zuckerberg is catching a little. I don't know if he's catching flack or
I feel like Kanye West would say it like that.
What?
Zuckerberg.
I don't think he's catching flack, but I think he feels the fire a little bit, in my opinion. But he wrote a letter. That's been on the internet, circling the internet. And according to a letter written by Mark Zuckerberg, which is the CEO of Facebook, Republicans in the House of Representatives are doing an investigation into false censorship on Facebook. Mark writes a voluntary letter further confessing to the censorship Facebook has enforced in recent political years for different political issues. So we have a picture here of the letter, and then Nick is going to read it.
Big letter from the Z-Man. No way.
Yeah.
This is to the Honorable Jim Jordan, Chairman of the Committee on the Judiciary, United States House of Representatives. Chairman Jordan, I appreciate the committee's interest in content moderation. Let me see if there's a date on this. August 26, 2024.
Wow.
Chairman Jordan, I appreciate the committee's interest in content moderation on online platforms. As you are aware, Meta has produced thousands of documents as part of your investigation and made a dozen employees available for transcribed interviews. Further to our cooperation with your investigation, I welcome the opportunity to share what I've taken away from this process. There's a lot of talk right now around how the U.S. government interacts with companies like Meta, and I want to be clear about our position. Our platforms are for everyone. We're about promoting speech and helping people connect in a safe and secure way. As part of this, we regularly hear from the governments around the world and others with various concerns around public discourse and public safety. In 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. Ultimately, it was our decision whether or not to take content down, and we own our decisions, including COVID-19 related changes we made to our enforcement in the wake of this pressure. I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. I also think we made some choices that with the benefit of hindsight and new information we wouldn't make today. Like I said to our teams at the time, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration in either direction. And we're ready to push back if something like this happens again. There's more.
Based.
In a separate situation, the FBI warned us about a potential Russian disinformation operation about the Biden family and Burisma in the lead up to the 2020 election. That fall, when we saw a New York Post story reporting on corruption allegations involving then Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden's family, we sent that story to fact checkers for review and temporarily demoted it while waiting for a reply. It's since been made clear that the reporting was not Russian disinformation, and in retrospect, we shouldn't have demoted the story. We've changed our policies and processes to make sure this doesn't happen again. For instance, we no longer temporarily demote things in the U.S. while waiting for fact checkers. Almost done. Apart from content moderation, I want to address the contributions I made during the last presidential cycle to support electoral infrastructure. The idea here was to make sure local election jurisdictions across the country had the resources they needed to help people vote safely during a global pandemic. I made these contributions through the Zuckerberg initiative. They were designed to be a nonpartisan spread across urban, rural, and suburban communities. Still, despite the analysis I've been showed otherwise, I know that some people believe this work benefited one party over the other. My goal is to be neutral and not play a role one way or another, or to even appear to be playing a role, so I don't plan on making a similar contribution this cycle. Respectfully, Mark Zuckerberg.
Based.
Yeah.
Did he apologize for...
CC, the Honorable Gerald Nadler, ranking member.
Oh, he called Nadler Fat Jerry? He called Fat Jerry honorable? Two. Where's my spittoon?
Is he not?
No,
is that, you mean former Fat Jerry? Or is he still very?
He's still kind of fat. He's not as fat.
He looks, anyways.
But Trump used to call him Fat Jerry.
Nice, I didn't know.
So he didn't apologize. Didn't he ban Trump for a while?
From Facebook after Twitter did it.
Not he personally, but
right. It was like Twitter did it first.
Facebook and Twitter banned Trump. I thought after Trump rightly said his rightful lie, the big lie that I disavow, but he had the right to say it on those platforms, and that was not incitement. Anyway,
Facebook also owns Instagram.
Yeah,
too,
Meta owns both. Well, it used to be Facebook. Now they call it Meta.
Oh,
that owns
I didn't know
Facebook
that.
and Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What do you guys in general think about the letter as a whole? So obviously, like, to me, and I could be wrong, this is just my opinion. To me, it's a nice letter. It shows that, like, there's trying to be fairness and all that stuff. But it's a little suspicious to me that it's coming out now, because everywhere you turn, there's like everybody's starting to see that the Democrats have their hands in everything in the wrong way. And we saw that the Democrats were recently reaching out to influencers to tell them to support the something, to co-sign. What was it?
They've done this a couple of times, man.
Yeah, so a couple of events
and all these other companies.
Yeah, to get them to like these like Kai Cenat was one of them, to get them to co-sign this one event and to cover it, and then all these different things. And then we hear RFK, right? Is it RFK? Robert Kennedy, his vice president, the girl, Nicole Shanahan, and RFK as well, talk about how the Democrats completely just like screw them over, if I could say screwed, screw them over, and had a hand in play in their corruption when it comes to that. And they're just like examples of the Democrats doing all this stuff. So I'm wondering, in my opinion, if Zuckerberg doesn't want to be part of that melting pot of corruption. So let me get it all out there and say that, hey, I ain't had nothing to do with it. And just so you know, I'm going to be fair this time around, and I'm not going to endorse anybody.
The walls are closing in.
That's what I'm
and
wondering.
The walls are all Trump. It's just Trump's face.
What do you guys think? I don't know, though. I could be
I share some of the
therapy.
No, I share. Yeah. Well, I don't think it's a conspiracy that Democrats have their hands.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
sure.
We're seeing it. Anyways, Joe Biden himself. Isn't that proof?
Right.
Puppet. But anyways, I share a lot of what you're talking about. I think Zuckerberg himself, I think he really is just like a Silicon Valley liberal. Like he even said himself, like at the end of the day, it was us. We chose to moderate that stuff. It really was up to us. And I bet you Zuckerberg and employees, they were all like, oh my God, COVID. Yeah, we got to mask up. And, they said, oh my God, disinformation. And so it's a combination, but I keep my hands, I don't want to definitely not say, what I'm trying to say now is just, I'm keeping an open mind because this fight over who controls the tech, what you're allowed to say, the free flow of information is a global fight right now. It's huge. And when fights are this big, a lot of money going around and all that, there's lies going around, there's players going around. And so I can't even make sense of
what's fully going on. Yeah, true.
Zuckerberg, Nick Fuentes, 2028.
Yeah, right.
I've always liked Mark Zuckerberg.
Nice.
He once got in trouble several years ago for saying that everybody who questions or denies the Holocaust isn't doing it out of malice or purposely trying to push disinformation or whatever. And he got all kinds of headlines and backlash for saying that. And then he had to go back and say, oh, I'm a Jew myself, and I find it very distasteful, and blah, blah, blah.
I didn't know that.
So, like, he's trying to peek his head out type of thing.
Like,
I'm fair.
But like you said, he is like a Silicon Valley liberal. What is this Zuckerberg Chan Foundation? Chan, is that his wife's maiden name? She didn't change her name to Zuckerberg? Melissa's I don't know what her first name is. Yeah. But I look down on him for that.
Well, I see.
But he's fit.
When I said that, I'm saying that because I'm thinking he's just kind of he's real. Like you can be. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of Silicon Valley liberals who were born that way and they become that. Yeah. And so what I'm trying to say with that also is that there's room there for a real person saying maybe I'm wrong a little bit.
Yeah.
A real. Because what's the other option I'm alluding to? Like CIA plant and friggin' Democrat plant who's ready to espouse anything, even put out a letter to assuage people and calm people down while they're trying to control the internet.
What I notice about Jewish liberals and Jews in general, they like to get it factual and at least appear to be fair.
Yeah.
And whereas like black liberals and others, they have no shame about just lying in your face and I did nothing wrong and sue me, bro, or whatever. They're like just utter defiance.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe it's also deceptive. It could be that he's being deceptive, but he could be being somewhat sincere.
Well, I will say in his defense that when he went on an interview with, I forgot who it was, they asked him about the Trump attempted assassination thing, and he says, well, I choose not to choose sides, but he said that I thought that was pretty badass that Trump did his fist thing.
That's true.
He don't have to say that, right? For him to say that, you could tell like he wants to in that moment you could tell he wants to be real about the situation and just admit to it, though he's like this huge figure that represents, maybe liberalism or whatever.
Yeah. So
I kind of respected that, but I think that also at the same time, business-wise, it's smart because
Absolutely.
I think things are being revealed and exposed right now with everything. And maybe Trump's people he has his people investigating these things so the world can see that the Democrats been doing some crazy things.
Yeah.
So it's smart of him to try to clear his name and be like, look, I'm good. I'm
not with that.
Yeah.
Even if the world turns on. I like that.
Yeah.
I also like this idea that they say he's not real.
Right.
He's an alien. He's a robot. That's a psyop. He's real. They're just trying to psyop us. He's actually kind of cool.
He fights.
Yeah.
He may be short, I think.
Yeah.
But he got fit. A lot of these nerdy guys, they become fit once they become billionaires.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know who else got fit and strong and all that stuff was the Amazon CEO used to be nerd.
So,
that's true.
He got a bald head now. He looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
What's his name?
I'm I'm blanking on it too.
Why can't I think of it?
Amazon.
Bezos.
Jeff
Bezos.
Bezos. Yeah, he looks kind of cool. Buff. He's buff and stuff.
That's the like
Is that
RPG. That's the RPG nerd mentality. It's like you got to max out. You're maxing out all your points on business, money, and what you're doing. It's like great. Now I can start putting points into my body skill tree.
Interesting.
But you know about the Trump fist thing and how cool that looked. The Young Turks guy said the same thing. He admitted the same thing. Cenk Uygur.
Oh. Cenk.
Yeah, Hassan's uncle.
Oh, nice.
The founder.
Huh.
Old school, still a man, or male anyway.
Nice.
Liberal, not full-blown communist. Fair-minded sometimes. Person who can acknowledge reality.
Yeah.
Cenk Uygur or Dave Rubin in a foxhole?
Oh, that's a good question, Cenk.
Yeah.
No. the Israelis rescued a Muslim.
Still, I'm joking. I don't want World War III to happen. I'm just joking. Anyway,
so look, get your Sprite.
Okay. Tap the top.
You mean Sprite? It could be Starry. It could be
Cola.
It could be anything.
So we're gonna try this. I've never done this before.
Banana
I just
Sprite
seen
challenge?
it before.
Are we doing banana Sprite challenge?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, okay.
What is it? What's
It's
banana?
like
Don't do this at home, kids.
I think it's the challenge is you try and eat a banana and chug a 2-liter and nobody can do it. You throw up. For some reason, the combination of banana and Sprite is just
is a bad mix.
city.
No, this one I've never done, but I've seen it before.
Isn't that only with cans?
I don't know.
Is that everything?
And I've seen it before, and I've seen people struggle to do it. So this is what we're gonna do. We have to. Whoever's the
Keep
first
that.
one.
You move your mic, and I
shoot,
hope
shoot,
it doesn't
shoot.
change it in the recording. So
Okay.
just be careful.
Whoever's the first one to drink the whole entire
Oh, we chug
Sprite
it?
without burping
What the?
wins. Because right at the first couple chugs, you want to get
I'm
that.
ready.
You have to drink the whole thing, and there's no like timer on who can do it faster. Just whoever gets to the bottom
Oh, Lord.
without burping gets a Wingstop gift card.
Is this diet?
No, it's straight Sprite,
Let's go.
All right.
and you're no rush. There's no timer,
Oh.
nothing. Take your time.
Yeah,
Go
yours
long,
is shaking.
Go short.
But the first one wins, though, right?
Whoever gets to the bottom.
But without burping.
So if we all get to the bottom and don't burp, we all get
yeah.
Wingstop
But there's
thing?
a tactic because
There's a tactic?
there's carbonation. So maybe the faster you drink, the harder it is not to burp.
It says you.
I know.
Wait, we just go?
I've
So
never
if we
done it.
all get
Go.
to the bottom and don't burp, we all get Wingstop
Okay,
thing?
it's
Whoever gets to the
51:30.
bottom. I don't even know how you guys are getting that far.
Gas just came out of my nose. Do I lose?
No, that's fine. No, you can't.
Do I lose?
You
I
can't.
already burped.
This hurts.
I already
I know what I'm
burped.
saying, but keep it.
I'm crying.
But keep going.
Gas came out of my nose. And more gas is
That's
about to
four.
come out. Oh
That's
my
what I'm
God.
saying. The
Sorry,
fact
kids.
that you guys are trying
Don't
to
burp,
rush.
kids. Don't burp.
I'm
You
holding
guys
it
are
down.
trying to
Do I
rush, and you're
lose?
putting more
Excuse me.
combination.
Like gas is
If you
about to
burp,
come
you have
out.
to say excuse me.
I'm going to keep going.
You can't burp anymore though. Oh my gosh.
It was harder than I thought.
You guys are trying to rush it too.
I lose. I'm about
Ooh, that was a loud one. You have to say excuse me. Doorknob.
I lost.
Light switch.
I got to this point.
Excuse me.
How did you guys not burp?
I am burping.
'Cause I didn't rush.
I burped like 7
That's why I was
times.
telling you not to rush.
So you guys lose.
But look how much I have.
I got to this point.
Oh my gosh.
For the record, they've been letting out gas.
So bad.
Yeah.
I got to this point with a little tiny
I don't even
bit
know how
of
you
gas
guys
out the
downed
nose,
it.
and then I had to let out the burp.
I don't even know how you.
I was like,
downed
I
it.
shouldn't have had that gulp of water before I came in here.
Dang, it hurts.
That hurts, man.
So you haven't released anything?
But I barely
Techniques.
Right? Oh, true.
I shouldn't have done that.
drank. Oh man.
I can feel the pain you're
And
going
they were
through right
doing
now.
this in the video too. In the challenge, they were
can-
like in pain.
I can see the pain you're going through. I know the pain you're going through. You should just release.
I want to so
Sweet
bad.
release, Joel.
I just,
What the strategies?
But if I get to the
I
bottom,
burped like 10 times at least.
But if I get to the bottom without, then I win. But if I burp before then everybody loses.
It's a tie.
Come on, you could just let it out, man. You could just not be in pain.
This is great. I'm only like halfway.
I know.
I thought I could chug it all before I could burp.
I don't know how you can stop yourself from burping.
Yeah, right.
saw
The
the
gases
only
was
reason
coming
why-
out. I couldn't
Yeah.
stop it. But then I did. Then I locked it in,
Right.
and I got to here, and then I could.
Oh my God. And the only reason why I believe in myself for doing this is because I saw them do it. I was like, yeah, they can do it. I can do it.
Man, it's like a carnival game. You got to see someone do it first, and then, and I went through the classic carnival game folly of going with my own strategy. The first one that came to mind.
True.
You got to see someone else do it. The strategy is slow,
God.
but also the
It wants to
pain
come out
is-
in all ways. It wants to come out from the front to the back. The ears, the
But
nose.
the pain is. He just wanted a Wingstop card.
Oh my God. I wish Bill could have got in on this. You finished
hurt.
yours?
Yeah, it's good. Thank you.
That hurt,
Oh.
man.
I only used to. I never used to get.
Oh,
dang.
You could tell
I
you
didn't
couldn't
even
hold that
try
one
to
down.
do it too.
You could tell there was no
Jeez.
you could tell you did not want that to like
I
you
tried to force
stop
it down.
that.
I tried to force it
Yeah,
back.
you could tell you tried to stop that. That's funny.
The pressure buildup was insane until we do it. All right, but next time we have to really like try to go.
Yeah, no, I tried to. That
I
was my
was
strategy. I thought I could chug it all before burping, but
Yeah, me too.
It's hard.
I got pretty far, and then it happened when
I wanted to
it
do that
happened
so
when
bad.
I was drinking.
Now I can't even freaking do it. Now I can't even get the rest.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well, I
for
think
the
that
record
weekend.
chat, I got an okay part.
Eight got the furthest.
I did go. I did do like a half a second.
Like you were
To be fair,
burping while drinking through your nose.
Jeez.
one. The rest was locked in. Then the pain was too great.
So. All right. Well, that's all we have.
Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. Hit the button over here. Subscribe over there. Ring the bell
I'm
over
not doing all that editing with all this. That's not gonna pop up over there. It's not gonna pop up.
Ain't nothing popping up. And the people like, where? Just hit the button. Y'all know what to do. Bye.
But you didn't say to Punchie TV, but I'll put that up. Punchie TV.
I ain't know I was supposed to say that.
You just subscribe to Punchie TV.
Oh,
But that's fine.
but they know they're looking at Punchie
I
TV.
know, that's fine. That's fine.
We'll put that in. Put that in the edit. That part. That little conversation.
Yeah, put that in there.
I never used to drink. I never used to be allowed to drink soda except at my grandma's house on Sundays.
I couldn't have soda or I couldn't have cereal with sugar. Pretty good.